What's going on? Demon Celt here. So it took me a while, but I just finished A Realm Reborn in Final Fantasy XIV. Being a Sprout in 2026. Wanted to kind of give my thoughts on the whole expansion and how my experience has been so far. So let's see, where to start? I guess let's start visually. The amount of monster design, boss design, the vastly different environments that this game has is insane. Literally, you can run from one map to another and have nothing look anything alike as you progress through the different maps, through the different zones, through the different stories, which is really cool. As I was going through the story campaign, I never felt like where I was becoming stagnant. Like I was getting tired of seeing the same thing. Coming from WoW, you know, you kind of get that feeling from expansion to expansion to where like, oh, great. This entire expansion, everything's green. Oh, this expansion, everything's purple. Oh, this expansion, everything's gray. You know what I mean? Didn't really get that in this. Obviously, this is the vanilla version of Final Fantasy XIV. Well, not really. This is the rebirth or whatever. This game has a crazy backstory, which, you know, is a different time for a different video. But yeah, some of the monsters, there's times where like I would go up to a monster and just kind of look at it close, like, what the hell is that? Or like, ooh, that is creepy. Or like, I would not want to be caught in a dark alley with something like that. As I got probably about halfway through the story, I did notice that the boss design for like dungeons got a lot more interesting. I think which one is it? The one where you have to go in the castle to free the castle from all the dragons. That's when I first kind of started to notice like, oh shit, okay, these bosses actually have mechanics now that I actually have to pay attention to, between like burns and cleaves and cones and all that type of stuff. So visually looks great. I feel like all of the actions that your job has, they're impactful. They look cool. I did have to turn down the visuals when I was in a group because it just kind of became a cluster and you couldn't see half the crap. But besides for that, the stuff looks amazing. All right, so the big elephant in the room that everyone talks about with Final Fantasy XIV, the story. The story was cool. It was definitely a slow start. But I did like well, spoiler warning. I mean, this game's been out for what, 10, 15 years now, so I think it's okay to get spoilers out, but I like the fact how they took the summoning spells from the original Final Fantasy mainline games and made them like the big bads of a lot of the story in this. I thought that was cool. Seeing the summoning spells from like the other side of it, they're not your companions or your allies that you summon to help you fight. You actually have to fight them, like fighting Ifrit and, Titan, Groot, all them. It was interesting. It was an interesting change of pace from like what you would expect to do. And then the end of the expansion, the end of A Realm Reborn with the Queen or Sultana, whatever they want to call her. That scene with the wine cup and everything that progressed after that, I was literally dumbfounded. That came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that, which you really can't say about video games very often. Like that, the story just kind of throws you for a loop and you're just like, oh shit, I did not see that coming. But the end of A Realm Reborn, I can really say that story came out of nowhere. It put your character in this just really like between a rock and a hard place type situation for the expansion to end, and it kind of ends on that cliffhanger. Like, well, crap, what's going to happen next? You know what I mean? We'll start tomorrow on the stream tomorrow, and we'll it'll actually be later today when this actually posts. But yeah, it ends in like a complete cliffhanger where you're like, okay, well, where do we go to next? What do we do next? This is kind of crazy, which, I enjoy, you know what I mean? anything where you're like, you know, something ends and you actually have to think about it, and it's not just like cut and dry and it's like, you know, black and white. This one leaves a little bit of a gray area where you're like, oh shit, well now what? Holy crap. Okay. All right. Pet peeve, or not really pet peeve, but I'd say the only complaint I've had about the game, really, and I notice this is most people who get into this game for the first time, is the pacing. My God, is A Realm Reborn slow. It's just like, it just seems like it never ends. Like you hit 50 and you're like, okay, cool, let's keep going. And then it's just like, oh, another quest, another quest, another quest. Run here, run there, run here, run here. I would say you probably spend 60% of the main campaign running from place to place and listening to people talk, or sorry, reading people talk, because there isn't very much like voice acting in A Realm Reborn, it seems. And it's just a lot of busy work. It's really slow. You really do very little fighting outside of dungeons and the trials. And like the pacing is really a thing. I know people say it really picks up in Heavenward, and moving forward, it really kind of picks up. But I'm level 52 on my Dragoon, 50 something on my Samurai. And, you know, I've leveled like other classes going through just to mess with stuff. That's why I'm only level 52 on my Dragoon. But man, that pacing hurts. Yeah, I can definitely see why this is kind of like the wall that people hit in A Realm Reborn. Like, okay, this is really slow. Do I want to keep playing? Do I want to get through this expansion? And I mean, I really think Square Enix needs to do something about it. Like, I get they want to keep their story and everything, but the fact that this game makes you play through the entire story of every single expansion and you can't just ignore it or skip it like you can in other MMOs is definitely a hurdle. And I can see why there are people that are put off by it. I was put off by it at times, but I also knew it was a thing going in, so I was prepared for it, and I knew I was going to push through it regardless of whatever happened. But yeah, I can definitely see the hurdle. The other last thing I want to talk about is the community. Playing this for what, about 2 weeks now, I guess, and I've really only come across one dickhead, and that was just a tank who lost his crap at a healer who couldn't keep him up because he was trying to pull, you know, room to room, and the healer, who was a sprout, just couldn't keep up. And so he kind of mouthed off and called them trash and told them they hope their computer and their house burns down and everything else, which is a little ridiculous. But as far as like toxic people goes, that's really the only time I've seen anything. People for the most part have seemed pretty helpful. Nobody's really like said anything off the wall. There's a lot of creepy, weird, like RP stuff I've seen going on in the background, which is a little odd and a little strange, but yeah, people seem to be friendly. People seem to be helpful, especially when they see the goofy little sprout over your head. People don't really seem to expect too much from you. Some of the queues are kind of long, but I would kind of assume that since I'm coming into a game that's a little older, I'm starting from scratch, and there probably aren't a lot of people doing the content that I'm doing early on. But yeah. Oh, the other thing that I kind of want to talk about is the characters, your character design for your characters. I found myself making nothing but female characters because none of the male characters really spoke to me. All the, besides for the, I can't remember the names, but the dragon people, all of the male models are pretty feminine looking anyway. So it's like, okay, well, if I'm having a really feminine looking guy, I might as well just make a female. So I made a bunny person, and then I have another alt character that I'm kind of messing with who is a big, tall elf. And I made the elf just because I did play Final Fantasy XI, and I had an elf in that game. So I decided to make an elf in here just for, you know, shits and giggles and to do something else on the side. But yeah, that is kind of my thought process. Now, as far as, do I recommend someone hopping into this game for the first time in 2026? I would say if you're willing to put in the time to push through the story and push through the pacing, it definitely seems worth it. Especially with how advent this community is around in this game, I would definitely say it is worth it in the long run. but it might be a struggle in the beginning. And at the same time, I know that the first, 4 or 5 expansions are all connected story-wise. So I also wouldn't really recommend the story skip, because you're going to kind of get to a point where I'm pretty sure where you're just not going to know what the hell's going on, because you're going to be missing a ton of backstory. I mean, it's cool that you have the paid skip, but at the same time, it comes down to like, yeah, but then, I mean, I guess if you don't care about the story whatsoever, you're just trying to blow to endgame, that's cool, but I don't know if it's really worth it if you just have no idea where the story is going, unless you do a job boost, do a story boost, and you boost directly into the newest expansion, which is a whole new story arc, and just ignore the first 4 or 5 expansions of the previous story arc. I guess you can do that, but I know there's still characters and background stories and everything else that kind of carry through. And so you'll get to that point and then you just won't really give a damn about any of the characters that are running around with you, because you haven't spent the time with them and you don't really know their backstory and you don't really know what your character and those characters have kind of gone through together. But I would definitely say if you are going to play this game and you are starting over, either play it with friends or find a guild, or in this game they call it free companies, to play with. That one, you're getting the extra support, and 2, you have people to kind of give you that social aspect, so the grind doesn't seem as long as it actually is, because you can be sitting there, you know, chit-chatting and talking and goofing around with other people, especially if they have a Discord and you can be on voice chat and talking to everybody whatsoever. If I do have a Discord, if people want to join us, ask me in the description and I will send you a link for the Discord at that time. We have on our community, we have people in WoW, Diablo 4, Path of Exile 1, 2, The Division, the pirate survival game, I can't remember what the hell it's called, WoW. So yeah, we got kind of people all over the place, and we, you know, the community is usually pretty active. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on what it was like to come into Final Fantasy 14 as a new player in 2026. So let me know your thoughts. You guys have any suggestions, thoughts, or your kind of feedback, or what you guys think about the game? If you're starting from scratch, or if you're a longtime veteran of things I should look forward to or things I should look out for, or what your kind of opinions and ideas are on the whole situation. But thanks for watching, and I will see everyone live in game Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So thank you for watching, and I'll see everyone soon. Thanks. Bye.